Welcome to Bryer's Music Showcase. I'm Bryer and welcome back to another video. And in this one, it's the first episode of my long-awaited 70s series where I go through every single year of the 1970s and name my top 5 favorite albums, and of course I'm only restricted to what I have in my collection. Now to me, the 70s is a perfect compromise between the 60s and the 80s, where you still have that experimentation that was started in the mid to late 60s, but by this point, technology had gotten a lot better in terms of recording, which the 80s would be known for, but to some people, they might have gone a little too far, so they lost that rawness, but the 70s still has that rawness, but albums still sound a lot better. So I love the 70s. It's my favorite decade when it comes to music, so I'm definitely going to have a lot of fun with this. And so of course, we got to start with 1970, which to some people is kind of more like the leftovers of the 1960s, because a lot of the albums in that year were recorded in 1969, but I'm not going to worry about that. I'm only going to worry about when they came out. So without further ado, let's begin. Also a disclaimer, this is all just my opinion. Starting off at number 5, I'm going to go with Bridge Over Troubled Water by Simon & Garfunkel. So this is their last album before they would break up, and what an album to go out on. It's just a phenomenal album, and you know, for their last album they really went out on a bang. And of course it starts out with the title track, which is just this beautiful, very emotional songs sung by Art Garfunkel, and could possibly be one of, if not his best vocal performance ever. He just kills it on the track. But then you have other great songs like El Condor Pasa, If I Could, which is another very great song to follow it up. Of course, Cecilia is great. I love that one as well. The Boxer, which is another one of their big songs, and one of Paul Simon's great lyrics. I just love the lyrics to it, how you can interpret it as literal, but also, you know, you can compare it to your life, you know, just life in general. Baby Driver is a great one. There is a live song on here, which kind of a weird inclusion, but it's still kind of a fun track. I don't mind it too much. But yeah, I'll just read what this album has to say because it says so on the back. So, released in January of 1970, Bridge Over Troubled Water was Simon & Garfunkel's 5th and final album. At a time when 60s optimism had given way to collective anxiety, the title track offers a much-needed message of hope and eloquence, I can read, and towering beauty. The stylistically diverse LP shot to number 1, remaining there for 10 weeks, spawning 4 top 10 singles, won a Grammy for Album of the Year, a fitting finale for the greatest pop duo ever. So, there you have it. So I did this in the 80s series. I'm going to do it here as well. Let's go over the packaging. So of course this is I think this is a later reissue. Can't remember when this particular issue came out. It says 2001, so I'm assuming that's when this particular CD came out. So of course we have the cover. So let me just take out the booklet. Okay, pretty standard cover. I mean Simon & Garfunkel aren't really known for their album covers, I don't think. So here is the disc. It's on Columbia. And if you take off the disc, you have this little image here, which is kind of nice. And we'll just go through the booklet really quick. So here's the front again, and then here's the back, which pretty much has I think it's supposed to replicate what the original vinyl was. Again, I don't have the record, so I can't verify, but I'm assuming. Excuse me. So you open it up, you have this image again. And it just gives you some history of the album. And it gives you some info on some of the tracks. Then, of course, they give you the lyrics. Let's see, this one has a little design on it. I think it's supposed to be like the whole, you know, the recording log or whatever it's called. There's Paul Simon. Me and him are starting to look a lot alike, I must say. Almost there. Last page. And then we're back to here. So yep, that's my number 5, Bridge Over Troubled Water. At number 4, here is my favorite of this band, and that band in question is Creedence Clearwater Revival, and here's their album, Cosmos Factory. Yep, it's my favorite CCR album. I mean, top to bottom, so many great songs. Probably the weakest song is going to be Ooby Dooby, but it's still it's not offensive about it. It's fine for what it is. But all the other songs on here is spectacular. Of course, it begins with Ramble Tamble, another one of their great opening tracks. Then you have Before You Accuse Me, probably another one of the weaker songs, but still not too bad. Traveling Band is great. Love Traveling Band. Looking Out My Back Door, great song again. Very, very laid back. You can just picture just sitting on your porch in like sunset or whatever and just listening to this song. Just perfect for that setting. Run Through the Jungle, cool song. Up Around the Bend, that's another one of my favorites on this song. My Baby Left Me is pretty good. Who Will Stop to Rain, another one of their great rain songs. I mean, they've only done like 2, but this is another great one. And they do their 11-minute version of I Heard It Through the Grapevine, which to me is the definitive version. There is a singles version where they cut out a lot of the extended instrumental, but I love the 11 minutes because it has some of John Fogerty's great guitar work, in my opinion. And then it closes out with Long As I Can See the Light. So yeah, it's fantastic. I mean, this is pretty much their peak at this point. And yeah, I love it. And of course, this particular issue has some bonus tracks. So let's go over the packaging real quick. So here it's on the Fantasy label. And then we take out the disc. Then you have this image of the band. Kind of in a photo negative type of thing. And I probably should showed this already, but there's another photo of them. And let's look through the booklet, of course. Again, kind of just replicating what it probably looked like on record. Okay, so you open it up, just gives you a little history and nice photos, which is always nice in these booklets. Photo of John there. There's Doug, or Cosmo himself. Another photo of the band. There's Tom. And there's Stu. Some more info on the bonus songs. Then it gives you the credits again. Then the last page is this. So surprisingly, they don't give you lyrics, which is kind of a shame. But I think you can understand John enough. But yeah, that's my number 4, Cosmos Factory by Creedence Clearwater Revival. For number 3, let's get a little heavier. We have Deep Purple with In Rock. So this is the first album with the Mark II lineup. So you have Ian Gillan on vocals, you have Roger Glover on bass, and of course you have Richie Blackmore on guitar, Ian Pace on drums, and John Lord on keyboards and organ. So for first album with this lineup, what a killer one to start with. It starts out with Speed King, which right off the bat just shows you just how powerful Ian Gillan is as a vocalist. How he has that grit, that gravelly bluesy voice, but he can just shriek if he wants to, which is just spectacular. And Bloodsucker carries on that whole vocal performance. Just what a killer song that is, and a great riff. And of course, this album's pretty notable because it has Child in Time on it, which is kind of one of their early masterpieces, shall we say. Yeah, it's just great. It's a long song, but it's just the dynamics they play on that song, where it starts out kind of slow, kind of mellow, kind of ominous and atmospheric, which I love. And of course, Ian's doing his lower register. But then it starts to really build to the point where Ian's just screaming, and then it just goes into that long instrumental break, and then it pretty much goes full circle by the end. It's spectacular. Flight of the Rats Into the Fire, another great one. Living Wreck, and then it closes out with Hard Loving Man. I mean, only 7 songs really, but it's still, top to bottom, is all killer, no filler to me. And of course, this is like an anniversary edition, so there's a ton of bonus stuff on this particular CD. This one, I believe, came out in 1995, this particular CD came out. So there's the album cover, you know, kind of cool. You have the band kind of mounted on a rock, you know, trying to be like Mount Rushmore and something like that. Kind of interesting. I get what they're trying to do. So now let's go through the packaging. So here's what the disc looks like. You have a nice little photo of the band there. Then we take out, there's another photo of the band. Then this is a thick booklet. Yep. This is another one of those booklets you can probably knock somebody out with if you hit them hard enough. One thing I should note about this particular CD is that it does come with Black Knight, which was a single but wasn't on the album. So it's kind of cool they included. There's actually 2 versions of it. There's the original single version, and then there's the Roger Glover remix, where it sounds a lot clearer. I kind of prefer the remix to the original, if I'm going to be honest. It sounds a bit too muddy, at least for that time. But that's just me. Alright, so now let's go through the booklet. So there's the front and there's the back. So we open it up, just gives you a ton of information and a ton of photos. Just letting you know what was going down at the time. You know, finding the new members. Always nice. That's the good thing about these reissues. They always give you a ton of information. There's another good photo there. Let's see, we'll see if there's lyrics. I don't think there's lyrics in this. There's a little poster. And there's the last page. All right, so there you have it. That is number 3 on this list, at least for me. So let me just slide it back in. It's a very thick booklet, so it's hard to even put it back in the case. Come on. There we go, almost there. There we go. Yeah, number 3, Deep Purple in Rock. So my number 2 is going to be a kind of an odd choice. When people talk about 1970, I rarely ever see this album get mentioned at all, but I love it, and that's going to be, and I have the record for it, and that album in question is Jesus Christ Superstar. So this is a concept album, of course, done by, I hit my mic, so sorry about that, but done by Andrew Lloyd Webber and Tim Rice, who does the lyrics. And yeah, they got together and made this masterpiece, in my opinion. And I'm not even that religious, so that just tells you how good this album is. So just show the back. So it's on the, this is like a later reissue on the MCA label, and this is a US pressing. So very cool, but I'm not going to go too in depth on this because there's not a whole lot to show. But I do have the CD for it as well. So basically it's supposed to be like a musical interpretation of the final days of Jesus, you know, Judas betraying him, you have the Last Supper, then you have the crucifixion. It has pretty much the main plot points of that, but it definitely, again, just putting it in a musical setting, in a rock opera setting, which is very cool. And of course, the performances on here is spectacular. I mean, oddly enough, I just talked about Ian Gillan in the last one, and here he is again, providing vocals, playing Jesus Christ himself, which is just amazing. And yeah, by this point, Ian was still pretty new to Deep Purple, and by that point they had just released In Rock, and I can't remember who, but it was either Tim Rice or Andrew who heard In Rock and thought, yep, that guy's our Jesus. Alright, so I think it played out, and you know, all the other performances on here are spectacular. Of course, you have Murray Head as Judas Iscariot. He does a great job as well. You have Yvonne Elliman, who plays Mary Magdalene. And then you have, and of course, the other performers do a great job as well. So, yep, it's on 2 CDs. So, just gives you the track listing there. I'm just going to show one of them because the second, they both look the same. Both discs, I should say. So, there it is. That's disc 1. And like I said, disc 2 looks the exact same. Then let me just open it up, because the thing about the vinyl is that when you open it up, it'll be just blank. There'd be nothing here, but at least on the CD issue, it gives you something. So here's some artwork here, and then here's the other side, which is kind of bare, but I just stuck the hype sticker on there. Just why not? So it says the album that launched a phenomenon. Then just tells you original 1970 recording, remastered at Abbey Road. Kind of cool. So before I get to the booklet, one more thing I should probably add is that when people usually talk about Jesus Christ Superstar, either they're referring to the Broadway musical or they're referring to the movie. But we're not talking about the movie. To me, I very much prefer the original album because I really do like the performances there mostly. And also, it's the one that started it, so everything is kind of compared to that in my opinion. So anyway, that's enough of that. Now let's get to the booklet. There's the back, by the way. So again, it gives you the credits, who played what. And here's a photo of Andrew and Tim right there. And some more info, basically crediting who played instruments. I mean, the people who are on the music side really do a fantastic job. The guitars, the bass, the piano and organ, all great players on this album. And here they give you photos of each player. There's Ian there, Ian Gillan. There's Murray. There's Yvonne right there. Okay, and then you see all this. This is just lyrics. Yeah. Alright, so pretty short booklet, but it pretty much gives you all the information you need to know. So yeah, this is a great album. I love it. Even if you're not religious, I think you'll still appreciate the playing and the performances on this album. So yeah, that's going to be my number 2, Jesus Christ Superstar. So let me show it just one more time on record. So now, before we reveal my number 1, let's quickly showcase some honorable mentions. Now, it was painful for me to put some of these in the honorable mentions, which is going to be a common thing in this series. So I'm just going to say it now because that's going to be a common thing moving on. But enough. Let's go ahead and show those honorable mentions.
Children well, my sweet Lord, my Lord.
And finally, at number 1, my favorite album of 1970 goes to John Lennon, Plastic Ono Band. Yep, just the rawness and just that raw emotion basically is why this album is number 1 for me. To me, it's my favorite John Lennon solo album. And yeah, it's just like he's just laying it all out. He's just going all in on this. And you can just feel his emotion as he's going through it. So by this point, the Beatles have broken up. He forms a band. I'm using band lightly because it's not really an actual band. I mean, there is a band, but it's kind of a, I don't know how to describe it, but yeah, it's just like a placeholder name kind of. But as I was saying, so by this point, like I said, the Beatles have broken up. John decides to take up primal scream therapy or something like that. I forgot what it was actually called, but something on that lines. And so he kind of brought that into the record here. And yeah, it's just, what can you say? So I love the cover, just a great contrast to what you're going to encounter in this when you listen to this. On the back you have him as a boy, and the same thing can be said about the gatefold here. So let me just find the booklet here. It's another thick one. So it's pretty much the same as the outside case. So pretty much this is what coined the phrase, the name of the album. Who are the Plastic Ono Band? Then you have this poster here. And then here, of course, it gives you a little Yoko introduction, written by her as well, kind of cool. Then it gives you more information. Yeah, just gives you more information here. Nice illustration by Yoko. And then, of course, gives you the lyrics. I mean, it starts out with Mother. Just that pretty much sets the tone of the whole album. Probably my favorite song on the album. Yeah, just especially towards the very end, where he's just screaming, "Mama, don't go, Daddy, come home." Just what an emotional song that is. Then it goes to Hold On, which is another great song. Nice way to kind of, after that big, dramatic, like guttural first song, it kind of calms down a little bit for Hold On, which is kind of a nice contrast. I Found You's nice. Really enjoyed that one. Working Class Hero, good acoustic number. Then, by the way, this is the next page. Isolation, another fantastic song. I love Isolation. Then you have Remember. Let's see. Love, Well, Well, Well. Look at Me, God. And it kind of closes out on a pretty down note with My Mummy's Dead, which, you know, I mean, yeah, you're not wrong, John. You're not wrong. Sorry about that. But what's cool about this album as well is that you have John Lennon, of course, on guitar and piano, but of course you have Yoko on winds. Don't know what that means. But Ringo Starr actually provides drums on this album, which is really nice. And then you have Klaus Vormann on bass, who does a great job as well. So, by the way, let me just show the rest of the pages. So that's the rest of the lyrics. Then this particular reissue comes with bonus songs, some singles that weren't on the albums. It also comes with Give Peace a Chance. It also has Cold Turkey, and it has Instant Karma. That's Let We All Shine On, which is kind of nice. It includes those songs because those are really good songs as well. Of course, all these are remixed or remastered. And then here's the last page with this nice photo of John there. All right, so that is it. That's my #1 favorite album, I should say, of 1970. Of course, and this is going to be, again, a common thing in this series, there's going to be a lot of omissions here. And again, there are so many good albums in this year that I can't include all of them. So that's where you all come into play. So in the comments below, let me know your thoughts on my picks, and also go ahead and give me some of your favorite albums of 1970. I look forward to reading those comments. If you've enjoyed this video and are excited for episode 2, please give this video a like, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care and goodbye for now.